The Washington Post is reporting is this list of 7 terms that are forbidden in their request for the budget next year for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Let me read off the words that, according to the Post reporting, have been banned for any requests coming to the administration. Vulnerable, entitlement, diversity, transgender, fetus, evidence-based, and science-based. Is this something that we've seen before, Errol?
No, I certainly haven't. Outside of fiction, there's a wonderful line from 1984, the novel about a dystopian future, that has somebody saying, it's a beautiful thing, the destruction of words, you know, and it gets into what I think is going to cause a lot of discussion here, which is what kind of power play is involved in trying to abolish a word or sort of take it out of circulation. The reality is, however, there are about 12,000 workers at the Centers for Disease Control. Many of them are scientists. I have a lot of scientists in my family. My sister, in fact, is a trained chemist. They're not going to take this lightly. You know, there's research going on, for example, on the effect of the Zika virus on fetuses.
Yeah.
You know, it's really important. It's literally life and death. Those folks are not going to sort of change their research, change their discussions, tiptoe around these kind of politically loaded terms. I would expect this to get rolled back in short order.
Here's the suggested replacement for evidence-based and science-based. Let's put it up on the screen, what the suggestion is here. CDC bases its recommendations on science in consideration with community standards and wishes. I mean, wishes, Hugo, are not a replacement for science-based. I get the political angle of 6 of these words, evidence-based, science-based, and transgender, fetus, but vulnerable. I mean, if you want to tell a population that they're not a priority, take the characterization of them out of your budget documents. What's the political calculation of removing vulnerable?
I don't know about vulnerable. I mean, I think some of these are more understandable than others. I mean, for example, entitlements. That's a very interesting one because both the president and the Republicans at the Capitol have indicated that once the tax reform has gone through, their next look is going to be at entitlement reform. And the word entitlement obviously means it's something to which people have a right. And one of the things that they probably want to do is to stop calling them entitlements and calling them benefits or that kind of thing.
I get that one, but vulnerable?
Yeah, no, vulnerable, I don't even know who that applies to. You know, it may be that you know, they don't want to refer to vulnerable communities or some such phrasing, which kind of bakes in certain policy ideas. I mean, I think that that's probably the case with some other words, like transgender, for example. It's a very controversial issue at the moment. There are those who say that transgender is a kind of left-wing phrasing for something which is actually a psychological problem. It may well be that the government, I mean, you know, Errol was, I think, absolutely right when he was talking about the power of words and he referred to 1984. A lot of people, the language changes all the time, and we are constantly obliged to change the phrases we use. And I think that probably what you're seeing here is the administration saying, right, stop here. We're not going to have these words which imply certain policy prescriptions and attitudes which are from the left. We're not going to have those become the new normal and force our hand on policy.
Okay, and again, most of the words I understand, agree with the perspective or not, you can understand or hear at least the argument for or against these terms. Vulnerable, I don't get. And for an administration that's already facing a narrative, Errol, to eliminate the term diversity from any budget requests in 2018 from the CDC is questionable as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, if nothing else, it gives you a pretty good roadmap about what they're going to try and defund, right? I mean, if they're saying, we don't even want to hear the word diversity, if you were engaged in, for example, disease prevention strategies that involve going into a community and making sure you were talking to a minority community or dealing with language issues or dealing with cultural issues, you know, what they're letting you know is that, you know, forget it, that we're going to deal with wishes and we don't want to hear about diversity. That is as clear of a roadmap as you could possibly imagine. Now, is there going to be a pushback from within the agency? I'm sure there will be, because there are career professionals who have dedicated their lives to serving the public by having a free exchange of information. This is what scientists do. This is what saves lives. And so if this doesn't end, if they are serious about this, this will certainly end up in court, where judges and lawyers are not going to be as likely as some of these political folks to want to just abolish words.
Yeah, the response was described by the Post as many people who were incredulous. I don't know how you control and prevent diseases without science-based, evidence-based studies and results, as opposed to wishes.